Now, Dusty used to be nothing special, just a crop duster spraying fertilizer on fields. But he had a big dream, to compete in the Wings Around the Globe rally. At first, resources were limited, so they could only practice obstacle training out in the fields, adjusting his flight angles based on what they read in books. But the race date was getting closer, and the books could only teach him so much. So his best friend suggested he find a real coach, someone who could teach him advanced techniques. They tracked down a retired Navy war hero Skipper, a legendary squadron leader with an incredible combat record. But when Skipper heard their request, he didn't even think twice. He slammed the door right in Dusty's face. Before long, race day arrived. Even though he never got that mentor, Dusty decided to enter anyway. The competition was packed with the country's top flyers, including his future rival, Ripslinger. Only the top 5 would qualify for the World Rally. When Dusty took the stage, the crowd burst out laughing. Even the announcer told him to go back to his farm. But the very next second, they were eating their words. Dusty pulled off a string of jaw-dropping moves that left everyone absolutely stunned. Unfortunately, he didn't crack the top 5, and he was devastated. He thought his shot was over. But then the organizers came knocking. Turns out the 5th place finisher had a stomach bug and couldn't compete. Just like that, Dusty moved up and qualified. Skipper had been watching Dusty's performance and effort the whole time. After observing him closely, he'd already identified every one of Dusty's weaknesses, and he agreed to take him on as a student. The very next morning, before the rooster even crowed, they were already training. Skipper told Dusty that if he wanted to go faster, he had to fly high and catch the tailwinds. But nobody saw this coming. The moment Dusty gained a little altitude, the world started spinning and he blacked out completely. Luckily, he managed to land safely.
What just happened up there?
I'm afraid of heights.
You're a plane.
I'm a crop duster. I've never flown over 1,000 feet.
When Skipper heard what happened, he respected Dusty's determination even more. If high altitude wasn't an option, then they'd find a way to maximize his low altitude speed. Skipper designed a custom training program based on Dusty's strengths and even fitted him with a more powerful engine. After training session, Dusty finally broke through his limits and pushed his speed to levels he'd never reached before. Soon after, Dusty showed up at the World Rally brimming with confidence. The massive runway had him buzzing with excitement. He was like a total country boy in the big city. He spotted a gorgeous girl and was so distracted he crashed right into some oil cans. Luckily, she didn't mind at all and even struck up a friendly conversation with him. That's when a racer named El Chupacabra interrupted them. He was the indoor racing champion of Spain, also competing in the World Rally for the first time. Besides the lovely lady, he was the only one who didn't look down on Dusty. Before long, the race officially kicked off. The first leg, flying across the Atlantic. Racers from every country took off one by one. Right from the start, Dusty fell to the very back. The other racers climbed high to battle it out, while Dusty hugged the ocean surface, completely ignored. By the time he finally reached the rest stop, the others were already sipping afternoon tea. And El Chu was busy flirting, though the girl wanted nothing to do with him. The race soon continued. Night flying was actually Dusty's strong suit, since everyone had to fly low. That's when another plane suddenly malfunctioned. Oil splattered across his windshield, blocking his vision, and he started plummeting fast. Dusty saw what was happening and rushed to help.
Bulldog, apply your left aileron. Okay. Stop, roll. Now quick, pull up. Got it. Harder, harder. Slide roll right. Good.
He stayed right by the plane's side, acting as Bulldog's eyes, guiding him all the way down to a safe landing. Helping out cost Dusty, he dropped to dead last. But his sportsmanship won him his very first fan and earned everyone's respect. The next day, the race continued. They had to cross the Himalayas. But here's the thing, Dusty has a fear of heights. He's a plane that's afraid of flying high. Even in a race, he could only follow the railway tracks and risk squeezing through narrow tunnels. His fuselage kept scraping the walls, throwing off sparks. The exit was right there, but then a train came barreling straight at him. The train hit its brakes just in time, and Dusty barely made it out alive. In a daze, he emerged into a breathtaking paradise. For a moment, he thought he was dead until 3 officials appeared and told him he was actually in first place. As the race went on, Dusty kept flying low, but his popularity kept soaring. This made the defending champion, Ripslinger, feel threatened. During the Pacific Ocean leg, Ripslinger had his henchmen destroy Dusty's antenna. Without navigation, Dusty was completely lost, and his fuel was running on fumes. That's when 2 military jets spotted him. But the moment they learned who Dusty was, they stood down immediately and escorted him back to an aircraft carrier to refuel. Everyone on board gave him a hero's welcome. Turns out, this was the very squadron Skipper once commanded. After resting up, Dusty set off again. But halfway through, he ran into a brutal storm. By the time he tried to climb, it was too late. He completely lost control and plunged straight into the ocean. Thankfully, he'd radioed his coordinates just before the crash, and the rescue team pulled him out. But his body was totaled. There was no way he could keep racing. That's when Skipper arrived. To get Dusty back on his feet, he shared his own story. Years ago, Skipper was a Navy squadron leader, practically unbeatable. But during one mission, he made a critical command error. They were ambushed by enemy forces, and his entire squad was wiped out. He was shot down into the sea. He survived by sheer luck, but he lost the courage to ever fly again until Dusty came along and reignited that spark. Dusty's friends stepped up to help.
And what's that?
That is my lunch. Don't touch. But the wings are yours.
Then, one by one, the other racers heard the news and came too, each bringing their best parts and equipment. The girl even brought him the most advanced propeller she had. Through Dusty's relentless determination and his selfless sportsmanship, they'd all come to see him as a rival truly worthy of respect. Dusty was deeply moved, and his confidence came roaring back. His friends worked through the night, and Dusty was rebuilt better than ever. But Ripslinger wasn't done scheming. He was already plotting his next dirty move. The final leg of the race began. All the racers took off one by one, all except Dusty, who was hit with a time penalty for the accident and had to start late. But this was a brand new Dusty. Even 20 seconds behind, he didn't flinch. In no time, he'd blasted his way up to 4th place. His rivals couldn't believe their eyes.
Good show, Dusty.
That's when Ripslinger spotted Dusty closing in. He circled back with his wingmen and ambushed Dusty from behind. Dusty was so focused on racing he didn't even see it coming. Ripslinger slammed him down and dragged him across the ground. Just then, Skipper came diving out of nowhere and swatted Ripslinger away with one clean hit. Turns out, he'd overheard them plotting and had been tailing Dusty the whole time. To protect his student, Skipper had finally conquered his fear of flying. He knocked Ripslinger aside like it was nothing, and Dusty used the terrain to shake off the wingmen. But just when they thought they were in the clear, Ripslinger came back and smashed into Skipper's tail.
That's why they call them Sky Slicers!
Then he rocketed toward the finish line, knowing Dusty would stop to save his mentor first. Luckily, Skipper said he was fine. The second Dusty heard that, he took off after Ripslinger. But Ripslinger was famous for his speed. There was no way to overtake him at this distance unless Dusty climbed into the sky and rode the tailwinds. It was his only shot. For his dream, and for Skipper's belief in him, he decided to go all in. Dusty fought through every ounce of fear inside him and finally broke through the clouds. The powerful winds pushed his speed to its absolute peak. He'd done it, he'd conquered his fear of heights. Up here was a view he'd never seen before. And right there, he spotted Ripslinger. Just when everyone thought Ripslinger had it in the bag, Dusty came screaming out from behind him in one final, impossible burst and crossed the finish line first. The crowd erupted. A crop duster had just won the Wings Around the Globe rally. This was the ultimate underdog story. In the end, Dusty not only won the girl's heart, but on Skipper's recommendation, he joined the Navy and was honored as a Jolly Ranch's honorary sergeant. If you've made it this far, then keep pushing toward your own goals. Never give up. One day, you'll be the underdog who beats the odds.